It's Naomi with Naomi's Tarot. If you'd like your own reading, life coaching session, incantation, spell, or spirit channeling, or an astrology chart, go to naomitarot.com. If you'd like to subscribe to my Patreon, go to patreon.com/Naomi Tarot. First it was, don't worry, it won't be bad here. Then it was, we're just going to be careful for a few weeks. We're just going to shut down things for just a few weeks. Then it was, stay away from people. You could catch something. They're the enemy. Distancing. Blocking communication between others for any future inklings or intentions or ideas of resistance. Then it was, masks don't work. Masks won't save you from this virus. There's no need to wear them. We need the PPE for our hospital workers. Then it was, stay away from hospitals. Even if you have COVID, stay away from hospitals. Unless your case is so bad you have to come. But then there were empty hospitals. And now we see thousands of healthcare workers across the nation being laid off. Well, why is that? Hundreds of hospitals being closed. And why is that? And the ship that was sent to New York was not even used. Now it's, wear a mask while walking. Even in the same business you sit down in and take your mask off because the virus suddenly gets you while you're walking. Or is it just a test on obedience, on lowering your morale, your psyche, and your peace of mind until you submit with a muzzle? An emotional, psychological, and physical muzzle. Obey. Tyranny never starts with a quick removal of all of our rights. Fascism never starts all at once. It's what David Icke famously called the totalitarian tiptoe. This is what we're experiencing. This is what we're living in. And Trump is not your savior. Biden is not your savior. You, I, and we must save ourselves. If Trump was so concerned about the riots, if Trump was so concerned about the burning down of cities such as Portland, why then did he not summon the Insurrection Act? To his supporters, I say, why on earth did he sit by and watch them burn? Why on earth did he sit by without lifting a finger? Now, certainly, the response and the solution is not more tyranny, but if you think you will be safer just because you vote for Trump, think again. Cities burned while he was president. There was nothing done. So why would cities not burn when he's president again? Submission, obedience, distancing yourself from others, being afraid to interact with your fellow human beings, and therefore incapable of organization, incapable of finding a solution, incapable of resisting in mass numbers. Because certainly we all know that viruses can be transmitted at protests resisting masks, but they can't be transmitted at riots for some reason. That just is not possible, according to the mayor of New York City, according to the mayor of Chicago, according to the mayor of Portland. That's simply not possible in this fascist rollout. And why is it not possible? Because mask protests were by and large peaceful. They were not demonstrating the destruction of society and the division of peoples based on the color of their skin, but they were demonstrating a resistance for all of humanity to stop bowing down, to stop submitting and saying, I'm going to take it. The riots, on the other hand, produced a positive result for the global elite in the New World Order, in that they divide us further. They cause us not to focus on the underlying issue at hand and what is being rolled out before us, which is global tyranny and fascism. And they do a good job of destroying the small business owners so that then they will have to rely on universal basic income that will be eventually instituted. So I ask you to open your eyes to what's going on around you. Regardless of what this is, you can only hide inside for so long. You can only run away from the inevitable for so long. How long are you going to take it? How long are you going to hide? How long are you going to cower in fear and not live your life and hand over all of your rights and all of your freedoms to a global tyranny, regardless of your color, your gender, or your sexual orientation? How long are you going to do this for? Because the totalitarian tiptoe is not going to stop. It's not going to stop when there's only a few people awake. It's not going to stop the longer you obey. And even if it seems like a small thing, breathing fresh air that is good for your mind, your body, and soul is the last thing they want you to do. There are intelligent people who can critically think. There's not too many of us, but there are some. According to the website NewYork1.com, Subway nears 1 million riders ahead of New York City's next reopening. 1 million. 1 million. And that's probably a low number because they're going to go low with that, right? Because they're estimating, right? 1 million riders. So we have 1 million people not always wearing their mask over their nose, touching their face, because let's be real, not everybody's going to do it perfectly, not washing their hands because they're on a subway, probably maybe using sanitizer. Let's say half of them use sanitizer, all breathing the same air in. Honey, they are not 6 feet apart. I had one person in front of me, one person behind me, one person sitting down, another person on the other side next to me. And yet, ding, 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 New York's numbers are only 7.8. Now, why is that? Why would New York City have a 7.8 number, whereas people who can naturally socially distance in spread out areas such as Pennsylvania, such as Connecticut, and yes, New Jersey has a dense population, but there are a lot more drivers there than there are New York. Let's just compare New York City to these states in general, because no state has a city as big as New York City in the entire country. How would the numbers be 7.8 and not close to 11 or 12 like the states that surround New York, especially when the borders are still open with New Jersey and Connecticut? How come our numbers are not on par with Connecticut and New Jersey? Well, we have two options here, two possible reasons here. Both reasons would attribute to the fact that we're not being told something. First, the abuser said, "I don't want you to see your friends and family." Then the abuser said, "I don't want you going out after a certain time." Then the abuser covered the victim's mouth with a piece of cloth and said, "Do not speak. It's too dangerous for you to speak when you're outside." Then the abuser imprisoned and locked away the victim. The abuser, when the victim resists, sometimes resorts to physical violence. If we wouldn't put up with this with a romantic partner or a person in our personal lives, I ask you, why are we putting up with this? These very same abusive, manipulative, emotionally and physically abusive tactics that we are being conditioned and exposed to by our totalitarian governments. I ask you to look at the cognitive dissonance that you are experiencing and wake up. Wake up before it's too late.